Hello everyone, what's up? I am the teacher Emmanuel, if you don't know who I am, and today I have a really nice and interesting topic. This topic is about the 10 most common mistakes made by English learners, and I want to tell you and I want to help you to find out if you are doing these mistakes and when people make these mistakes. So if you are committing these mistakes, I just want you to pay attention to every one of them, and if you have a lack of in something in a specific, I suggest you go back and review. So with the first one is about the article. Okay, the article. The article is even difficult for English speakers. I mean native speakers. The article is in the indefinite and the definite. We have a and an and also the. Now, for example, in Spanish, which is my language, my native language, we use the most of the time, and we use it before a lot of nouns and phrases and sentences. But when it comes to English, it's not so used. A lot of times the is even omitted because you just don't need it there, and because you don't need it there, they don't use it. On the other hand, it is also optional to the person who is speaking or who is writing to use the article the. The article the is used when you are specifying something in a specific. When you mean and you're talking about something in a specific, yes, you use the article. We have a or an, and it can be referring to anything. It's kind of confusing indeed. Additionally, an is only used before a vowel. So we have the a and the an. So the an is only before a vowel, which is a, right? E. We have the o. We have the u. And the other one, which is a, is going to be with any of the consonants. Interesting, isn't it? Now we are going to continue with the second one, and the second one is about mass nouns. These are nouns that are singular but refer to more than one thing. A family or group is made up of more than one person but functions like a single until in sentences. Others often confuse mass nouns, advice, news, garbage, and water. The third one is very confusing for the students, and me as a teacher, I can tell that it's kind of difficult because the students, they confuse the adverb with the adjective. And I have a definition of the adverb, and the definition of the adverb is that they modify a verb, and they modify a noun, and they modify everything. Okay, so they modify everything, and therefore they have a strong, how can I say this? A strong function in the sentence, or when you are speaking. But on the other hand, when we switch to the adjective is only for giving you a description about a person, an animal, or a thing. But now, be careful so you do not confuse the adverb with the adjective, because they are two things that are completely different. Confused by many native speakers as well, English learners mix up adverbs and adjectives. Well, is an adverb good? Is an adjective. So technically you ran well, but your run was good, and the test was good, but went well. We have the prepositions, and the prepositions, oh my gosh, they give you a lot of problems, because we have a lot of prepositions and they change a lot, and we use the prepositions in many different ways, and of course students confuse them because they work in a different way, rather than how they work in the native language of the person that is learning English. And in the prepositions, these are difficult in every language because every language uses them in a bit different way. In English, in is used for both closed spaces and periods of time. At is used for a specific time or place, and on is used to describe the surface something is on or a day. So going back to the prepositions are kind of confusing because they have many uses. One preposition, you can use it in many different ways, and a suggestion would be practice making different sentences. You can practice and try to find out where you can use them and how you can use them because they change a lot. And of course, as I already mentioned, they are not going to be the same as they are in your native language because obviously we are talking about two different languages, and in each of the language they work in a different and independent way. We continue with the SVO word order. Oh my gosh, this one is kind of difficult because you have to follow a specific range and a specific order with the adjectives and with the words, and you must understand, I'm saying you must understand how you are going to break them down in the sentence, because each one of them is followed by a specific category, I would say, and you need to know how you are going to write them or how you are going to be using them in conversation. So, as I already mentioned, the SVO word order, that is subject, verb, object. The subject, verb, object word order in English, unlike many other languages, the subject is always necessary. This is a good point. Why is the subject always necessary? Because you cannot omit the subject. The subject must be in the sentence. For example, in my native language, which is Spanish, the subject sometimes is not important because when we are having a conversation, we don't need to mention it because we know who we're talking about or we know what we are talking about. But in English, you have to be quite specific and you have to mention the person that we are talking about because it's the way it is and it's the grammar. So don't break your head trying to find out why it is one way in your language and then it is one way in English, because as I already said, they are two different languages, and the best suggestion that I can give you people is this, is that don't try to mix up the language and say like, oh, but it is this way in Spanish. And then I go to the dictionary or I go to the encyclopedia and I see that it's totally different in English. Well, I suggest you, again, just stick to English, learn it the way it is, and forget about your language. Because if you try to compare the two of them, you are going to have a big headache. We continue with the next one, which is the number 6, and it's about the pronouns. The pronouns, mixing up he and she, is another common mistake made by English learners. Some languages, like Japanese, don't distinguish in every occurrence of these articles. We have the third person of the singular. I don't know why people think it is so difficult to add an S after the verb. I mean, it's easy. As I say all the time in my English classes, students, please, when you have a verb and you have the third person of the singular, we have a he, she, and it, the verb is followed by S or ES depending on how the verb ends, on what letter it has at the end of the verb. If we have a CH or we have S or we have O and some specific other letters, we are going to add ES. It is very important to remember that we need to add the S after the verb in conversation and in writing when we are talking about the third person of the singular. I keep repeating that to my students and they seem to not understand it, and I don't know why. Now we continue with number 8, don't. When using don't in negative sentences, the use of don't in negative sentences gives English learners, especially Spanish speakers, a bit of a trouble. In English, you must add do and not to convey a negative meaning. So basically, the way that we mention negative sentences in English is totally opposite of how we do it when we speak Spanish or when we are speaking another language, which might be your native language, it might be Japanese, it might be Chinese, it might be anything. We also have number 9, which is the apostrophes. Apostrophes are used in contraction or to show possession. However, they are not used with possessive pronouns like his, her, or their. Now, the apostrophe is kind of confusing for the students, but I think it's only when they're starting. Why do I say that? Because we use the apostrophe in contractions when we want to speak in a practical and fast way. They are very common and people use them most of the time, and it doesn't seem that they are so difficult. But again, I say apostrophes are used in contractions or to show possession. However, they are not used with possessive pronouns like his, her, or theirs. And number 10, but not the least, so we have capitalization. So with a capitalization, what to capitalize is different in every language and often hard to keep straight. In English, we capitalize I as a subject. So I as a subject is going to be capitalized in every way of the sentence, even though it is at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end. So what I mean by that is that I has to be capitalized, and therefore you must remember that. In writing, in writing, because in writing is most when the people see this problem and this writing mistake. First letter of a sentence is capitalized. It's like in Spanish or any other language, I would say. Proper names, national nouns, and adjectives have to be capitalized. Proper nouns, they have to be capitalized. For example, countries, they have to be capitalized. The United States of America, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, Chile, Bolivia, and so on. Days of the week and months. So Monday, Tuesdays, etc. They have to be capitalized. And well, this is everything for today, and I really hope that this can help you find out where you are having these problems. And of course, if you have any questions, down below, leave a comment. Please subscribe to my channel and make me happy. So, see you around, and till next time, thank you so much. Bye bye. Stay healthy.